What is up, everybody? I'm going to give it a couple minutes, let everybody get in here, make sure everything's working right. Then we'll get going. We got a big week ahead of us, the first week of the FedEx Cup playoffs up in Boston this week for the Northern Trust. Just got a full schedule coming up here over the rest of this calendar year. Finishing off these playoffs next 3 weeks, and we're going to jump right in, no break, into the 2020-2021 PGA Tour season. So going to be an awesome run through the end of the year. There's actually way more majors next year, 2 Masters, 2 U.S. Opens in the FedEx Cup points schedule for next year. So add 2 majors into that. It's going to be a fun run over the next year, really. So I'm ready to jump in. Right before we get started, I posted a link. If you guys are not members over at RotoPros, I gave you the sign-up link over there in the YouTube chat. We have free trials. You can check us out. See if you want to stick around. We got a bunch of sports going on. Chris is absolutely backed up with all kinds of sports going on. NHL, NBA, MLB, sheets for all of those, PGA, NASCAR, all 3 series in NASCAR. We got soccer going on, Champions League semifinals just finished up today. We got the finals coming up here on Sunday, I believe. And MLS is kicking right back in as well. I think there's about a 4-game slate tomorrow night, so we'll be jumping into that for MLS. Yeah, Brian, got the Frank hat on. Love it. Got the T-shirt too, but I figured that'd be too much Tiger for one video, so just stuck with the hat. So we got tons going on. Like I said, just be sure to check us out. We got skeletons for all those sports that I just mentioned going on in the RotoPros Slack chat. We're open in our direct messages all the time if you want to hit us up for any just individual back and forth, either coaching or just slate specific questions. We're there as well. So be sure to check us out with the link in the chat there. And we'll just jump right in. It's got a big week ahead of us. So TPC Boston played host to some playoff events in the past. I think it was the Dell Technologies. And I'm believing that was usually the second playoff event, something to that effect. So jump into the first one here, and as the Northern Trust. But it's nice that we do have some history to look back on for a lot of these guys that play in the playoffs year in and year out, which is most all these top guys. So nice to see that. I'm going to for sure be touching on some of that history as we go through the player pool here in just a bit. But as far as the type of player that I'm targeting this week, I mentioned a lot of the key stats there in my article, but really it's, of course, approach play, tee to green game is always going to be up there every week. But even more this week, as far as I'm waiting off the tee a little bit more. I like seeing guys who can at least gain strokes off the tee, if it's not all because of distance, maybe just because of placement or somewhat to that effect. I mean, if you look at Colin Morikawa, he's a pretty good example. He's not the longest player out there, but he still gains a lot of strokes off the tee. I think he's 10th in this field in strokes gained off the tee over the last 24 rounds since the restart here. So he's not necessarily the absolute longest hitter we have out here, but he can gain it off the tee. That's what I'm looking for. Par 4 scoring. There's really a good mix of par 4 distances this week. So I threw just general par 4 scoring. And the proximity ranges, I kind of meshed in the 150 to 200 range is that's where a lot of the iron play shows up. And that even weights in a little bit more approach, even on top of what I have, just general strokes gained approach. So that's really the main thing. It's overall game. I've mentioned it a lot this week. I'm looking for form guys, especially this time of year. You always see it in these playoffs. you see guys that come in form, they stay in form, playing back-to-back weeks, and they really separate themselves and get hot and even win the FedEx Cup. So I think these first two events are even more important now. Starting, I think it was just last year when they did this scoring for the Tour Championship, where the first ranked in the FedEx Cup going in has like a 10-stroke lead on 30th place in the FedEx Cup standings. It's makes it just uber important to get up in the top few, at least the top 15 in the standings if you really want to run at these. So winning a tournament, one of these first two, is just massive. They're worth more FedEx Cup points for guys. It's massive. So if you want a shot at the 15 million at the Tour Championship, you don't want to be starting 30th going into that week and have to make up 10 shots on who's starting first. So that's what I'm looking for. Form is the name of the game. So while I start going through this player pool, be sure to drop any questions you have, players or just slate in general, questions about the course, anything. Drop them into the YouTube chat, and I'll definitely get to them. Hey, Chris, I know you're super busy with all this stuff. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming when we've got all these sports back after we had 2 or 3 months with League of Legends, a little on and off soccer, just not very much going on, and now they're all jam-packed in. So it's awesome, and it's kind of hectic as well, but we're getting through it, and it's just an awesome sweat every day in, day out for DFS anyway. So I'm going to be sure to touch on a lot of these guys, whether I like them or not. I want to give you my thoughts, but if I miss anybody or you just want me to go into more depth on my thoughts on a guy, be sure to drop your questions into chat. So this top range, 10,000 and up, is just, of course, loaded with top guys in the FedEx Cup and also top guys in the world. One of the top best fields you're going to see all year again. We've been saying that a lot with this restart, but Justin Thomas, DeChambeau, Rory, DJ, Morikawa, Rahm are the 10K and up guys. As far as ownership, I'm thinking the way it's looking, if you look at ownership projections, it's looking like Rahm and Morikawa are going to be the top two. That's not what I expected coming into the week. I would have expected JT to be right up there with those guys. And the lowest on here in this range, you're looking kind of a DJ Rory coming in as the lowest on. So that does shift my thoughts up here a little bit. I've mentioned that I kind of am falling in love with a balanced build this week, maybe even not even having to play a guy up here or one at the very bottom of the range. I don't know if a lot of people are going to do that. It don't look like it. It looks like a lot of these guys are going to get ownership. So I'm still fine with going completely balanced, and I'll touch on those guys here in a minute. But if I'm going up here, and I'm probably doing a 3 max. Haven't decided on the 20 yet, but I'll for sure be doing at least a 3 max build this week. And I'm looking at I was leaning DeChambeau to start the week, and I'm still going there. He's middle of the road in ownership for these top guys. 11-1. He was the winner here 2 years ago when he won back-to-back FedEx Cup events. He won. This was, I'm guessing, the second one. If I was thinking it was the second FedEx Cup playoff event, he won there in 2018. That was the last time that there was a contest here. We know what we're getting with him. He bombs it off the tee. If he ever gets the iron play going, he's going to just dominate the tour overall. So I like DeChambeau up there this week over Thomas for me. Thomas does have a win here in 2017, but I just like Bryson, the way he sets up playing these few weeks in a row. I like that as well with how he's been playing. From there, I like Morikawa a lot, and I like John Rahm. With Rahm being the highest owned or projected on in this range, I'm kind of shying away from that, and I would lean Morikawa. It'll be interesting to see how he comes off of a major championship. I kind of have an inkling that it would be a little bit different than if he won a normal one. He's not traveling and doing all kinds of media obligations that he, at least not as many as he would have been if it was a normal year. So I think he can continue this run. He's been in great form. 10-2 is, he's finally priced up, but hey, he deserves it. DJ and Rory in that range. Rory, I just don't like the way he's playing. He's won here at TPC Boston twice, 2016, 2012. I just don't like the way he's playing, honestly. And for that, there is such slim margins, even when you get up here. I'm not going to go with Rory. If I had to pick of those two, it would be DJ. He's been good here in the past as well. 10-4 for DJ being the lowest owned up here in this range. He was second at the PGA there, 12th before that. He's kind of dug himself out of that mini slump he was in there for a couple weeks after he won. So DJ's fine, 10-4. If I have to rank them up here, I'm going Bryson, Morikawa, DJ. That's my three up here. So, like I said, I'm falling in love a lot with this 9K range and the high 8K range. Brian says Shoffley 11.5 on FanDuel, high ownership. So I don't play FanDuel a whole lot. Let me pull up pricing there and see where he compares. If he is below or above some of these guys that I think are going to be owned. And I can just kind of, based on these ownership projections, I can kind of just gauge it from the price differences in DraftKings. So hold on one second. While I am signing in there, in this 9K range, and you guys have seen it a lot. I am absolutely falling in love with Jason Day. He is the top play for me and the top play for a bunch of guys this week. I just love his form. Absolutely almost stole one there. If it wasn't for a Morikawa fire finish and Day missed barely missed one there on 17 that could have pumped him right into it. He's been in as good a form as he's been since the year he won the PGA, and was just absolutely on fire. That year, he's rattling off these top 10 finishes, top 7 finishes in his last 4 events: 7th, 4th, 6th, 4th. 9,300 is a perfectly fine option there. Day is my number one play this week, and I don't care what his ownership is. I'm going to be playing him, and I hope people talk themselves off of him tonight. He's a guy that, I mean, this would be a complete troll job. His back injury pops up and he withdraws this week when he's chalk. That would be Jason Day for you there. But you can't predict that stuff, and if that did happen, I'm going off the way he's playing, the way his iron game is going. If that putter gets just the least bit hot, and he's a historically very good putter, so I'm definitely in love with Day this week. 9,300. You can start lineups there. He can be your second guy in, and that's why he's going to be popular. Let's see. Webb would probably be my second favorite there in the mid to upper 9K range. He was just a putter away last week from winning. I mean, he ended up finishing third, and his putter was cold. I think it was Saturday. He missed, I don't know how many in a row, 3 or 4 in a row from 7 feet in. That Webb just doesn't do that. He's been okay here in the past. I think he won here in 2011. Yeah. So that's very interesting to me. You can start your lineup Webb, J-Day, and I'd be perfectly fine with that. So Webb's my second favorite in the mid to upper part of that range. So to getting to your question on Xander, I think he will be a little bit lower on, just looking at the pricing on there. Morikawa is under him. DJ is 100 more. I mean, Rahm is 200 more. You can get these guys within 100 of each other for more. So if you want a low on GPP play, I'm fine with it. I do like the other guys more. That's where I would lean. But if you want a low on GPP play, that's Xander for you this week. So I was mentioning that this range I'm in love with. So if you go J Day at 9,300, right, 2 spots below him at Reed, Patrick Reed, 9,000. He had a run of fourth, fifth, and sixth here in 2015 to 2017. He's coming in good form his last 2 events. He's finally starting to turn things around a little bit. I really like the way he's playing. Berger, I mean, he's been on fire all year. How can you go away from Daniel Berger? This kind of sets up for him. Now he gets to play 3 weeks in a row. And I think he can rattle one of these off and compete for this FedEx Cup. I think he can definitely do that. Finau right there with him. I think Berger and Finau look like they're going to be pretty popular in this range, in this 8K range. But I really like Finau. I mean, he's coming around as well. He's one of the guys that can gain off the tee when he's going. Very good finish at the PGA Championship with a fourth. He gained 7.6 on approach. I'm willing to give him a pass for the St. Jude. Lost a lot on approach. Had just kind of got out of it in day 1 and 2, and he had a major cross-country travel coming up the next week. So I'm perfectly fine giving him a pass. Third and eighth right before that, gaining loads of strokes on approach. So Finau and Berger are definitely the top 2 for me in this 8K range. And then along with Reed, if you just want to bunch them in, I love all of this range. Tiger, I'm not getting there. He's shown flashes of some semblance of form. I just don't want to go there. It's going to be interesting to see what he does over these next 3 weeks. He's already committed to next week. He should easily, I believe, get in to the second playoff event. Let's see. He is, 49th. I think you got to be top 70. So he looks pretty comfortably in. I just can't play him. He's all with all the guys around him and the way he's kind of on and off. I just can't get behind Tiger this week, even though I am wearing the Frank hat. Let's see. Matsuyama and Casey, I'm not on either this week. Casey has very good history here. Been playing pretty good. He was playing good tee to green all the way since the restart, and just had these crazy blow-ups from bunkers and everything else. But I'm bearing the lead with my favorite play in the lower range right here is Adam Scott. Love the way that he came out. It was his first event back at the PGA Championship. And if you look at his stats day by day, he really improved throughout the week. And then he finished up by gaining 2 strokes on approach on the final day. The part of the game that we usually think of as the best for him. 22nd there, he putted well. It was nice to see that he didn't have just major rust with that layoff and the first event back to play the way he did. I'm fine with. Now he's 8,400. That's a great price for the upside that he brings. And I don't think he's going to be super popular. I'm looking at around 10% for Adam Scott ownership wise. He's a great option for me. I think he can get back. I mean, he won earlier this year. It's not like he won at the Genesis. That was after a long layoff. Now he's played a couple weeks ago. I think he can turn it around from tee to green. He was fine tee to green, but I think he can get even better and have a really nice week. So I'm going with the 2 Aussies, are 2 of my favorite plays of the week, Scott and Day. Let's see. After you drop down from there, you have Fleetwood. I just can't get behind the way he's playing with his irons right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe just the more he plays, the better he'll get with him. But usually that's the best part of his game, not his putting. And his putting has been kind of carrying him over these last couple weeks. So I'm not on Fleetwood. Hovland, He's been playing pretty good. His driver is kind of fell off a little bit. If you look at his stats over these last couple events that he's played, his off the tee game he's lost strokes off the tee in 3 straight, which is not usually what we're used to seeing since his great finish and almost won at the Workday when Morikawa won there. 48th, 59th, 33rd. Not encouraging, but I'm fine if you follow on him as your last guy in or something. I just like Scott and some of the guys that I'll get to here in just a second below him more. Fitzpatrick, not on him this week. Scheffler, fine if you think he can keep his this form going. I'm kind of skipping this range this week. If you go from Fleetwood down through even Horschel at 7,900, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to skip that range. If I were to go with one of them, it would be Ty Hatton this week. I just like the way he kind of was playing tee to green before the last couple events. Well, he gained 3 strokes on approach, but missed the cut at the PGA. And the St. Jude, he was off too. But before that, going back this calendar year on the PGA Tour, 6th, 1st, 3rd, 4th. That's awesome results in the last 2. I'm willing to give him a pass. If you do fall on him, like I said, not my favorite in this range, but I'm fine if you do land there. Let's see. Yeah, 12 to 15 on Xander. That's fine with me. He's just not my favorite in that range. I'm fine if you want to go there though. Billy Ho time. So that's the range we're at now. Billy Horschel. I guess you would call it Billy Ho time in these playoffs. He's won a FedEx Cup before by getting hot. Looked pretty good last week. I am not on Billy Horschel this week. He can get hot with the putter. I understand that. He gained 4.4 strokes on approach last week. He's been playing fine. I think he is more of a cash play. I'm not on him. I don't know that he has the upside to win this type of tournament. He doesn't have to at this price, but I don't think he's going to be a top 5, top 10 guy this week. So I am going to fade because I like the guys that I'm going to get to here in just a second, right below him. And it's interesting that he's coming in. He's around 9-10% as well. If you want to go there, I'm fine with it. He's more of a cash play in my eyes, but that's just me this week. So right below him, this is a guy that I have in my article, and I told you guys in the RotoPros Slack chat that I would touch on. And I really like this range here. Spieth, Woodland, Wolf, and Siwoo. That range, they're 78 and 7,700. I really like all those guys. Spieth. So where I'm at with him, I saw a thing of his post-round interview after Sunday. He was a little more upbeat than we're really used to seeing out of him recently. I think a little down on himself, honestly. I really like some of the comments he made of last week. He was hitting driver off the tee, even if maybe that wasn't the smartest thing for him to do. He was just working on some things. He fought and made the cut these last 2 tournaments he's played at the PGA and the Wyndham. And the interesting thing to me is he seems in some rounds like he's just so close to being there. And then he has 2 rounds, 2 great rounds and 2 bad rounds. So at the PGA, he was awful Thursday, played a great round Friday, made the cut, awful Saturday, and then Sunday came back with a great round again. I think it's tough for him to put 4 rounds together, and I don't think he's going to put 4 rounds together. But I do still think he has the upside to have at least 1 to 2 hot days. And if you look at these last 2 events that he's played, he's gained strokes on approach. Obviously, last week he lost 2 off the tee, but like I said, well, he's been struggling off the tee overall, but he was kind of trying some things, just hitting driver where he probably shouldn't be last week. The interesting part to me is he lost 4 strokes on putting last week at Wyndham and 2.2 at the PGA. Jordan Spieth losing that many is kind of obscene, and he did still make the cut. We're used to seeing him gain that many at least on some of these fields, and he has the upside to do that. He's been fine on approach. That's where I'm at with him. Not a cash play for sure, but he's GPP only. He has great history here. Is just another thing to look at. If he can kind of feed off of that, he has a 4th back in 2013, a 2nd a few years ago, 2017, a 12th last time they played here, 2018. So I'm fine going to Spieth this week. Other than him in this range, Woodland is interesting. He has a pretty good history here too, 12th, 15th, 18th, 24th. The last 4 times he's played here. 7,800. I don't think he's going to be very popular this week. Let me check his ownership. Less than 10%. So he's been playing fine. The problem with him was kind of off the tee. He's a little bit better off the tee lately at the PGA. He gained 1.5. He was just kind of meh at the PGA, finishing 58th, and didn't really kill or crush any part of his game. But I'm fine going back to him now. He's sub 8K, which we've not seen in a long time. Matthew Wolff, another guy I mentioned. I think he's going to be one of the more popular guys in this range, but we know what we're getting off the tee with Matthew Wolff. We always knew that, but this approach play that he's had over his last really 6 events that he's played, and all those are obviously in this restart. At the PGA, he gained 7.3 off the tee, which is not super surprising, but he gained 7.3 on approach. Finished 4th. It was nice to see him play good at a course that is not easy. He tends to play a lot of these easy courses very well, but he's kind of breaking that mold a little bit with the 22nd at Memorial, where he gained strokes everywhere but around the green, and the PGA, where he lost strokes putting and finished 4th. Lost 2 strokes putting for the week, finished 4th. So he's definitely got the upside. We know it's there. He can get hot. He's one of the guys, if you look at those 3, Hovland, Morikawa, and Wolff, I always talk about it. Morikawa is probably going to be the more consistent player. Wolff is going to be the guy who pops up from time to time and goes on these super hot runs where he just wins a few events and finishes top 5 a lot. So he could be in one of those hot runs right now, and 7,800 is still a great price. 1st in opportunities gained, 6th off the tee, and 14th on approach last 24 rounds in this field. He's a fine putter as well, and he has not really shown that over the last few weeks. So last guy in this upper part of the range is Siwoo. We all thought he was probably going to win last week going into Sunday, but he has found some consistency that he has not had past here since the restart. He was 11th at the Travelers back in June, and then 57th, 64th. But since then, at Memorial 18th, 3M, he was 46th, and then the PGA 13th, and last week 3rd. He's really coming on over these last couple of events. 6.6 on approach last week when he finished 3rd, 4 on approach at the PGA. I think you can go there. It's like I said, I really want to ride form in these events, and Siwoo, Wolff, both of those definitely fit that mold this week. So I'm gonna check and see if we got any questions here. Any interest in Harris English? He's in that range. English is fine. I mean, he's been playing great. I liked him last week for sure. Obviously, he got the massive price drop. He's so consistent. He's one of those that is probably a cash play as well, but he's fine for GPPs. His overall game has just been so consistent all year, even back since the fall. If you go back and look at some of his results, in his last five, 17th, 13th, 18th, 19th, 23rd. So none better than 13th, but none worse than 23rd in his last five. He's gained on approach in all of those, around the green and putting in all those. So he's just been so consistent. I'm perfectly fine going there this week. He's 76 on DraftKings. So I'm fine going there as well. Champ is kind of interesting. I'm not going to get there this week. It'll be interesting to see if he can ride his hot form. Obviously, he did it off the tee again, where that's where he always does it. I just don't like his approach play. And he's going to have those weeks like he did at the PGA where he just kills it off the tee and just treads water everywhere else and pops up. But Champ's not for me this week. Next guy I'll get to is Louis Oosthuizen. Looks like his form, and it's crazy. I'm kind of liking a couple of these guys who are always WD risk, Day and Oosthuizen. But 33rd at the PGA, 6th at the WGC a few weeks ago. I like the way he's playing. 7,500. He has upside to get us a top 5, top 10 anytime. That we've seen in years past, and his game's kind of turning around. Gained everywhere but on the green at the PGA, and gained everywhere at the St. Jude. So I like Usti this week. Let me get back to my list here. HV3, he has played here in the past, 2016 and 17, made the cut both times, if there was a cut at that point, but he finished mid-pack at least 33rd and 47th. He's fine. Doc Redman, he's been great. Tee to green, 7,400. He's a fine option. But my favorite part of this range is the low 7K range. Russell Henley, very interesting to me. He does have a second here back in 2014. And he's been in great form with his irons since this restart. He came on fire last week there on the weekend. I think it was 65 to finish, or something. Maybe it's 63 65 or something to that effect. And he killed it everywhere last week. 9th there at the Wyndham. He was 37th at the PGA. He's been gaining crazy strokes on approach, and I'm fine going back there. He's still cheap, 7,300. Neiman, I'm going back to him. I'm not getting off Neiman at a course that sets up the way it does this week. He's probably going to have half the ownership he did last week. He's probably 5 to 10%, somewhere in that range. Didn't play particularly well last week. Had 2 bad days. I think it's Thursday and Sunday, but at the middle of the week he was fine. He shot right in the mid under par. I think it was right at 65 both days, 66, 65, and made the cut there. Fought to do that on Friday. This course just sets up for the type of that I want Neiman at. Long irons are important. Off the tee is important. That's the kind of guy that I'm targeting this week, and he's not in the best of form, but he's not in awful form either, and he's 7,200. So he's a guy that can pop, and we've seen him do it at the RBC Heritage for a 5th. He can pop and do that if he's killing it off the tee and on approach, and that's his type of game. He's been playing a lot. So I like Neiman this week down there. Let's see. Damon is fine. He's played here once and missed the cut, but he's fine. If he's playing well, I think he can pop for us. He's in pretty good form. 10th and 20th last 2 times out. Let's see here. Emiliano Grillo, been playing pretty well, and he's got good history here. 33rd, 22nd, and 7th the last 3 times we've been here. So he's a good value at 7K. So I'm going to drop into this range here, the 6K range. I'm not anticipating getting here a lot, just because I like that balance build, and I can even end in the mid 7s, low 7s, or maybe even the high 7s if you go mega balance. But there are some plays down here that if you want to get a top guy this week in the price tiers, that you can go. And it's, again, when you get down here, ride guys that are in form. And I got 4 guys down here that I'm fine with. Sam Burns, 6,900. He's been playing pretty well. Not played here before. Doesn't really matter. I'm going with the form. Lanto Griffin is my favorite down here in the 6K range. I love the way he's played all year, really. But I liked what I saw out of him at the PGA Championship. That was kind of unexpected, honestly, with how good he played there. And now he's 6,700. I'm perfectly fine going back there, and I probably will go back there if I'm in one of my 3 lineups. I go up top to somebody. Norlander, I was on him all week last week. He kind of let me down after that first 9 that he played on Friday, but he's been fire with his irons. And the last guy is 6,300. I feel like he's probably going to get popular. A lot of people liked him last week, and he came through. I was just kind of playing around, and I think he shot something like 18 under after his first 2 holes on Thursday, and that's Cam Davis at 6,300. That's a super value. He's 91st in the FedEx Cup. He's got to be aggressive if he wants to get in that top 70. I think that he's a very viable option, and is the last guy that I like in the 7K range. Favorite GPP showdown sleeper. So I forgot to mention weather. It doesn't look like there's going to be a weather wave advantage this week. So I'm not personally going toward a wave advantage per se in showdown, but I would favor the early guys. They just get out there with the soft conditions. The greens have not really been rolled very much and stepped on all day. Let me pull up Chris's sheet. I've not really dug into showdown. I'm just kind of building more of the full tournament right now. Showdown is, for the day one, is kind of a similar strategy. There's always those guys that play great in round 1 and kind of pop up, and that's who sometimes I bet is first round leaders. Let me see here. It's loading, but while that sheet is loading, Varner, Brian, I'm fine with Varner. I mentioned him, 7,400. I'm definitely fine with him. He's been playing well. He was fire on Thursday there last week, and then he finished off the week good. He just had a little bit of a slow Friday, and you couldn't afford that at an event like the Wyndham. Which, by the way, was an awesome event. I volunteered there last week. It's a couple hours from my house. So I went down and stayed and volunteered. It was awesome to finally be able to see a tournament in person. I was on the 16th hole, the par 3, if you guys remember that one. But it was awesome to be out there and see those guys in action. It was a lot different, obviously, than any event I'd ever been to. I understand what they're saying when they say it's crazy not having fans out there. I was one of the only ones clapping for people making birdies and hitting it close on the hole. So I have the showdown up here. It's kind of, for showdown, again, you want to target guys who make a lot of birdies, as opposed to, even in tournament long, sometimes you're looking for guys that, not necessarily that don't make birdies, but guys who are a little bit more stable. So sleeper, I'm going to just kind of tell you my top plays for showdown. It's going to be very similar to my week long, but Berger is a top guy for me, 8,800, right in there, and Finau would jump even more up the list in a showdown format. He's 9,100 and Berger's 88. They're definitely not sleepers, but that would be 2 of my probably first 2 in my lineups this week for showdown round 1 at least. Other than that, let me see. Sometimes these guys get priced down lower. Oh yeah. Oh, here you go. Sleeper. I don't know how much of a sleeper, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to like this one, but Jordan Spieth. I was on him. I was talking about him just a little bit earlier. 7,400. I think that's 400 less than his tournament price, and this guy is just made for showdowns. We've talked about Chris and I have talked about this to each other at least, and I've put him in some of my skeletons for showdown. But Jordan Spieth is the ultimate showdown play. You don't have to worry about him killing your week-long lineups. Just play him in round one showdown, where he can make 8 birdies and 9 bogeys and pay off for you at 7,400. That's a insane price with his history here. So Jordan Spieth would be my guy for showdown. He's another one of my first few would be in my lineups. And he falls into that category I was just talking of, guys that get priced down when it comes to showdown sometimes. Neiman's sub 7K. Pretty interesting little build here this week. I'll definitely get a skeleton out. I always try to for round one and all the showdowns, but I'll definitely get one out and dig more in. But those are 3 that'll for sure be in my lineups. Finau, Berger, and Spieth will for sure be in my round one showdown lineup. Let's see. So any more questions, I will probably jump off here pretty soon. We're running up on 40, 45 minutes. So ran a little bit over what I would like to, but I'll be in the Slack all night. I still got to build my lineups for showdown and the full tournament. I'm about to get out of here and post my skeleton lineups. So be sure to join us again in the RotoPros Slack chat. Check out all we got going on. It's just an awesome time to be in there. You get an awesome bang for your buck if you're in the RotoPros Slack with all the things that we have going on in there. So, yeah, Brian, thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. If you got any questions, again, be sure to reach out, and good luck this week.